Zohran Mamdani slams Trump's illegal alien crackdown, warns we are fighting to keep NYC a sanctuary city. Here Democrats go again on the wrong side of the 80-20 issue. They do more for people that don't even belong in this country than they do for American citizens. It's ridiculous. But we're gonna talk a little bit about it. We're gonna play the clip in here with Zohran Mamdani has to say about this. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from Slay News, and they report that New York City's radical Democrat mayoral nominee, Zohran Mamdani, brought his anti-Trump message to Staten Island on Wednesday. In a fiery speech, Mamdani took aim at President Donald Trump's signature illegal immigration crackdown. The far-left mayoral election frontrunner blasted the president's policies during Mamdani's 5 boroughs against Trump campaign tour. Speaking at the Istanbul Bay Authentic Mediterranean restaurant, Mamdani told supporters the president's enforcement actions were rooted in, quote, punishment, not public safety. No. If you broke a law and you're not supposed to be in this country, you're going to get deported. That's the law. So if you broke a law, I mean, I guess he's kind of right on that. It is a punishment. There is consequences for breaking laws in our country. We are not a lawless society. So he might be kind of right on that. But let's get to the clip here. Let's play this clip here. We got a clip from Fox News. Here we go.
So Brian Yennis back on the trail. Staten Island today, Brooklyn yesterday, and hello to you there, Brian.
Bill and Dana, good morning. Well, Zohran Mamdani's 5-day anti-Trump citywide tour continues here on Staten Island, which is perhaps the most conservative of the 5 boroughs for sure. He'll be visiting a restaurant behind me, a Mediterranean restaurant. Now, Mamdani insists that this anti-Trump tour is necessary because the president is attacking the city with his policies, cutting Medicaid and food benefits for New Yorkers. But critics say Mamdani is focused on Trump to distract from his socialist ideals and extreme policies, like government-run grocery stores and instituting an immediate rent freeze citywide. Yes.
And we have test cases of these government-ran grocery stores. It never ends well. The one in Kansas City, Missouri, just shut its doors. It just closed because they can't afford to. They can't do it. Why would you want government, which has a terrible track record when it comes to running things? Why would you want them to run your grocery store? That makes no sense to me.
Yesterday, I questioned Mamdani about this policy, noting some argue that freezing rents would bankrupt landlords, discourage housing construction.
Oh, what happened here? That was weird. It just booted me out. It was a pop-up or something. Sorry about that. Let's try this again. Here we go.
So Brian Yennis back on the trail. Staten Island today, Brooklyn yesterday, and hello.
Because the president is attacking the city with his policies, cutting Medicaid and food benefits for New Yorkers. But critics say Mamdani is focused on Trump to distract from his socialist ideals and extreme policies, like government-run grocery stores and instituting an immediate rent freeze citywide. Yesterday, I questioned Mamdani about this policy, noting some argue that freezing rents would bankrupt landlords, discourage housing construction, and make housing less affordable.
That's all true.
The rent freezes that we're speaking about, these are rent freezes that have already taken place in New York City. They happened 3 times under the previous administration. The issues that we're having of housing supply, these are long-term issues in New York City, some of which have to do with politics and policies. Those previous rent freezes.
So he said they did it 3 times. So if it didn't work then, why do you think the rent freeze is going to work now? The price of housing is still going up. So why are you continuing to do something, a policy, or push a policy that doesn't work? Just because it sounds good?
Were temporary, were they not?
Sorry, we're going to have one more question.
I've spoken about a 4-year rent freeze.
Mamdani says he wants a 4-year rent freeze, which notably is the length of his first term if elected. Those 3 other temporary city rent freezes he talked about lasted just a year each and included COVID-19. Meantime, the mudslinging between Mamdani and his opponent, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, continues. Mamdani releasing a new ad, apparently attempting to tie Cuomo to Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, wow.
The New York Times uncovered that Cuomo had worked with his longtime friend Andrew Farkas on a luxury marina project in Puerto Rico. Farkas' previous partner on luxury marinas in the Caribbean, Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow. He's reaching on that one. I got no indication that Cuomo had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein or the Epstein Island thing. But so he's reaching on that one. He's reaching on that one.
Campaign spokesperson for Cuomo says that Cuomo did not know Epstein, and he called the ad desperation from conspiracy peddling Zoran. We'll hope to ask more questions today at 1 p.m.
You got it. We'll be watching. Thanks, Brian. Nice to see you there in Staten Island. Dana.
And you know, I'm definitely not a Cuomo fan, but I've never saw or heard anything about him with ties to Epstein. He's reaching. But Mamdani, who has pledged to Trump-proof New York City, has built his campaign around strengthening sanctuary city protections and banning immigration and customs enforcement from using city facilities. He was joined on Wednesday by Staten Island Democrat leaders and pro-illegal immigration activists. They accused the Trump administration of ripping New Yorkers off the street without due process. No, they had due process. That's why they came and picked them up. But the mayoral race has been shaped in part by highly publicized confrontations between immigration officials and elected Democrats. In June, primary contender and New York City Comptroller Brad Lander, a Mamdani ally, was detained by federal agents after allegedly assaulting an officer while trying to escort an illegal alien from immigration court. Lander was released without charges. They should have charged him. But Mamdani called the incident fascism and used it to rally opposition to Trump deportation policies. High-profile protests against ICE have erupted nationwide this year, including in Los Angeles. In LA, riots prompted Trump to authorize National Guard deployment without the request of Gavin Newsom. And I think that they're trying to sue Trump over that. But it marked the first such move in 6 decades. Mamdani nomination also comes as New York City continues to grapple with the massive influx of illegal aliens. The flood was mostly driven in part by Biden administration policies ending Title 42 expulsions and Texas Governor Greg Abbott's decision to bus illegal border crossers to the Democrat-controlled city, which I think is one of the greatest ideas to ever come from a governor, I believe. But outgoing Democrat Mayor Eric Adams, once a Biden ally, declared the migrant crisis a state of emergency. He later signaled a willingness to work with Trump's border team, including former ICE Director Tom Homan. Adams, who has visited both Mar-a-Lago and the White House, saw federal bribery and wire fraud charges against him dropped earlier this year by Trump's Justice Department. The move sparked controversy in Albany with Governor Kathy Hochul, who y'all know I can't stand, when his removal from office following the wave of City Hall resignations. Adams and former Governor Andrew Cuomo are now running as independents in the November 4th mayoral election with Curtis Sliwa, I think that's how you pronounce it, as the Republican nominee. Mamdani has framed the race as a referendum on Trump's immigration agenda, vowing to make New York City a model for the Democratic Party in resisting federal deportations. After winning the Democrat primary, Mamdani declared, quote, "When I am mayor, we will reject Donald Trump's fascism, stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors, and govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party." Oh, it'll definitely be a model for the Democrat Party, but it won't go as you think if you win. I'm telling you, he's going to destroy New York City, and it's going to definitely be a model for the Democrat Party for us to point to and say, like, look, this is why socialism is bad. This is why we don't need Democrat control in these in these major cities because they would destroy it. So I think he's right about that. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.